Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. All right, why is my chair... I need a new chair. New History Matters video. Naturally, I'm going to watch it, react to it. Let's do it. Why did China invade India in 1962? I'm not sure. I wasn't even aware of that. So let's do it. If you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Connor. I like to learn about history through YouTube recommendations. Link to the original video, top of the description, right below that. Link to the Discord. Just click on it. Send you right over there. Love to have you. Pull up a chair. Right below that link will be the link to my second channel where I react to non-history related stuff. Let's do it. If you're not ready to learn, I don't know why you're... There's the door, all right? Just you're in the wrong class, all right? Let's go.
After World War II, conflict between major nations became much rarer. Yet in 1962, a large-scale land war broke out between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of India over these lands. And after the war, this bit was taken from India and became a part of China. But given how things were at the time with the Cold War and how unsure the outcome was, why did China invade India? So, as of the 1960s, the Indian-Chinese border looked like this and was the result of careful consideration between the two peoples, and of course it wasn't. The border had been drafted by Britain in the early 20th century in an agreement with Tibetan China. And by agreement, I mean diktat, in which Britain declared the border between India and China to be this and that Tibet was now a Chinese puppet state. The Chinese refused to accept this, mostly because they hadn't been invited to the conference, but the British didn't care and considered it to be a done deal. Now, India gained its independence in 1947, and along with its freedom, it also gained a territorial dispute. One which was made worse when China annexed Tibet in 1951, and since it was one of India's most important trading partners, it soured relations. Tensions rose until 1954, when India and China came to an agreement in which they agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity and increase trade. This was up until 1960, when Tibet was host to a failed uprising, and the crackdown afterwards damaged India's ties in the region. The Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, was critical of China's response and gave shelter to those fleeing the region. This angered the Chinese government, and its foreign minister Zhou Enlai pushed for a military response to do two things. One, take this territory, which was populated largely by Indians of Chinese descent, and two, dissuade India from supporting any Tibetan...
Sorry, is Bhutan a thing, or is that this area kind of in between China and India that has no color there?
Which was populated largely by Indians of Chinese descent, and two, dissuade India from supporting any Tibetan rebels in the future. As such, spies were sent into northern India to lay the groundwork for an invasion, and the Chinese built up infrastructure in the border regions and started to move soldiers there. The Indians, fearing an escalation, created the forward policy, which would build up their border defences and make India's claim to the land indisputable. They also approached the Western powers for advanced weapons to defend themselves, a request that the West denied because India was seen as being too soft on communism. As such, the New Delhi government turned to the Soviet Union, who, having fallen out with China, was happy to make an ally and damage a former friend. In October 1962, after small-scale clashes between Indian and Chinese forces, 40,000 Chinese soldiers...
I remember that from another video that Mao was a big Stalin fan, and when... Who came right after Stalin? Brezhnev? I would just be guessing, I forget, but was much more lenient than Stalin on a lot of things that would have been seen as capitalistic, and so they had a big falling out. I do recall that from another video.
1962, after small-scale clashes between Indian and Chinese forces, 40,000 Chinese soldiers crossed into India here, which itself only had several thousand soldiers in the region. The Chinese leadership wanted a quick war because their military was both unsure as to how well India was prepared and also believed that they couldn't win a war of attrition. And launching an attack in October was useful too, since soon after the fighting began, the United States and the Soviet Union were too busy with a certain Cuban Missile Crisis to do anything about it. At first, China performed well and pushed into the area with ease, and Zhou Enlai pushed for peace negotiations, which Nehru rejected. And a month after Chinese forces had crossed into India, they had reached the edge of China's claim to territory, and so they declared a ceasefire, meaning that the war was effectively over. Because China didn't want to push its luck, and India wasn't in a position to respond. So, in the end, this war had many long-term effects. The loss pushed India to modernize its military and begin the development of nuclear weapons, and the snub by the West pushed it closer to the USSR. And Pakistan gained too when itself and China settled their own disputes over their common border, which in turn pulled Pakistan away from the West. Since due to the increased trade, they'd gotten more from Beijing than they ever had from Washington or London, which completely changed the balance of power in the region. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching, with a special thanks
Thank you for making awesome History Matters, one of the furthest back in my channel where I was reacting to history stuff on YouTube. History Matters has always kind of been one of those channels I go to. I love it because of how the way I guess I tend to learn, which is I like to kind of get the gist of things, which History Matters does so well, and then I can point out things that look familiar and kind of go deeper in other videos or learn about it through whatever means, really. And it gets me more fascinated and easier to understand for me when I start off on a subject I don't know a lot about with a video like this. I hope that made sense. But yeah, very interesting. I will be back with another video soon. Hope you guys are doing well. If not, that sucks, but you'll be good soon. Don't worry, emotions are fickle. All right, see you next time.